Now, I know I should begin our day together talking Brendan Sorsby. Fascinating study. Is it precedent setting? What does it mean moving forward? Down goes Texas Tech. Beer's on me. But I'm not. Let me explain. When Mitch Light of The Athletic joins me, I'm going to ask him about the Brendan Sorsby resolution. You know by now that he has decided to go into the NFL supplemental draft. He did not decide to go into the NFL supplemental draft. He had no choice. I'm sure him and Texas Tech had a conversation, and Tech said, we can go no further with this. All the forces have aligned against us. We can't win this in the end. Kid, we've done all we could. Neither you're not going to win this. We're not going to win this. It's time to go. And with the way the court ruling, the way the NCAA ruled, the Big 12 was ruling, Sorsby was going to have to gamble that he was going to win every single legal challenge so he could play all season. Or if he didn't, he couldn't at any time have any other options because of the date and the timeline that was set. So Sorsby went with the guaranteed thing, the NFL supplemental draft. So instead of talking about it, then talking about it, then talking about it, when Mitch Light joins us, I'm going to get that national perspective, The Athletic. When Olin joins us, I'm going to talk with Olin about it. So Brendan Sorsby can wait. We'll begin our day with a hell yeah. Aggie Baseball dips into the portal and gets the number 2 player in the transfer portal, the Clemson catcher, Nate Savoy. There's not very many baseball transfer portal rankings, to be honest with you. They're just not. But I found 2, and Nate Savoy is the number 2 player in the transfer portal. He is a former Clemson catcher now, started at Loyola Marymount. Every step of the way, first team All-American honors, second team All-American honors, third team All-ACC. He was an outfielder. He was a catcher. It doesn't matter where he plays. It is expected, and now I think that pretty much confirms, even though it doesn't have to be, but it will. Bear Harrison, going to go MLB draft. And this was a huge pickup for Aggie Baseball. This was the kind of boom, sizzle, excitement that you, me, us were looking for. Last year at Clemson, 329 average, 16 homers, 52 ribeyes. Phenomenal season. And like I said, every step of the way, it didn't matter. Second team All-American catcher as a freshman. And then 2 years ago, first team All-American honors as an outfielder. Last year, third team All-ACC. Number 2 player in the portal. You'd like to see more of these from Aggie Baseball. So that's the kind of thing that gets me off the couch. That's the kind of thing that gets me standing up and cheering. And A&M, been active in the portal now. Seems like each day, what's the next announcement? The next announcement, maybe there's one coming today. But it is expected that tomorrow, I guess, the Texas State pitcher, Wade Cooper, is expected to arrive on campus tomorrow, matter of fact, was the latest report I saw, which would make him the 3rd pitcher. They have the Wichita State pitcher, Johnny Nunez, and then the UNLV transfer, Jace Evangelista, who, the numbers, strikeout standings, man, that's what I'm looking for in the pitchers. So Aggie Baseball, rolling. Think Limp Bizkit when I say that. I can't do Fred Durst style, but still. I've said again, till they play, I got that. Hey, with Savoy, you don't have to think. You don't have to do much projection. That's pure stud right there. You'd like to see more of them. Now, the fascinating thing in the very few transfer portal rankings I can find, LSU is absolutely 100% dominating. They got the number 1, 3, and 11 players. 1, 3, and 11 players in the transfer portal right now. The funny part about that to me is LSU dominated the college baseball transfer portal last year, and it went absolutely horrifically for them. And if I remember right, which I rarely do, didn't their coach, when their season ended in Baton Rouge at the bats of Texas A&M, say, we got the players, we got the wrong players, and the transfer thing didn't work then, but they're going back to the portal. But LSU is absolutely destroying the transfer portal. 1, 3, and was it 11 or 12? Right off the top. We'll keep our eye on it is the best to say. But that's exciting. Speaking, baseball, college. Yesterday was a horrible day in Omaha for me. I don't think any of the teams that I predicted rooting for, call it what you want, ended off pulling the dub. Texas destroyed Alabama. And I can't say that I'm rooting for Georgia, but I've never had any love lost for OU. So, and OU beats Georgia 4-3. Great game. Not sure how many people caught that. And OU's one win away from the National Championship Series. And OU baseball, right time, peak, right time, catch fire. Georgia lost for only the second time in 23 games, if I saw this correctly. Only the second time in 23 games. Now, they've got the offense to win. I think they need to win 3 straight now, right? They have to win the elimination game today. Georgia, Texas tonight. Tell me that's not delicious. Because Texas is quickly turning into the bane. Georgia, the Bulldogs, are quickly turning into the bane of the Longhorns. In football, Georgia's, ended the Longhorn hopes, 2 SEC championship games. Now to do it to them in Omaha. Are we all Georgia fans tonight, or is that just a me thing? Because I think we're all Georgia fans tonight. No, I know we're all Georgia fans tonight, but Georgia's offense is fully equipped to win 3 straight. Because now Georgia would have to win the SEC tournament to advance to the National Championship Series in Omaha, beat Texas tonight, and then double dip OU. Thing is, Georgia can do that. OU is just having that dream run that you tell when you're not one of those overwhelming favorites that you believe is possible. And you need just that one moment, that one performance. And that was the OU pitcher last night. Seriously, that is just that. If you're an underdog, you need that one pitcher. And we as Aggie baseball fans, we're saying if we could have one person besides Sims rise up, and you just need one start and one random player, and they got that last night, that start. They gave up 3 home runs to Georgia, but they're all solo shots. And that's how you beat the Georgia offense. You can't stop them from going yard at all. But as any coach would tell you, when you have like the leading home run hitter on the other team, or you have a home run hitting team, just hold them to solo shots. Just hold them to solo shots. Continuing. I have a text message real quick. I'm going to sidetrack myself. That's cool. Jim in Cyprus. Hey, Louie, how is Sorsby more likely to play in the NFL than college football? I would think he would be more susceptible to influence with pro game betting. What am I missing? Jim, he hasn't been drafted. He just declared. That's 2 different things. No player's been drafted in the supplemental draft since 2023. Teams have to actually give up high-level draft picks. It's not like you can give up a 7th and take Sorsby in the supplemental draft. He declared. That's it. It stops there. It doesn't mean it's happening. It doesn't mean he's going to be drafted. I mean, good for him. It doesn't mean he's going to go to the NFL. He could end up being an undrafted free agent at the end of the draft in the spring. The supplemental draft, first held in 1977. Team has to give up a draft pick for him. It's not free. They haven't had a supplemental draft since 2023. No one has been selected in one since 2019. And the Cardinals gave up a 5th-round pick for safety Jalen Thompson. So you're not missing anything. Is he worth the draft pick that they'd have to give up? And then are you willing to give up that draft pick for a gambling addict? Because remember something, Sorsby, Texas Tech, how open and honest were they that this kid is an addict and he needs help and he has an addiction? Because that was their whole defense that they kept leaning on and they made public, right? Think carefully about that. They've damaged him and he damaged himself. Because in order to play, they totally threw open their defense was he has a problem. So what now for the NFL, they're going to go back on it and go, no, I don't really have a problem at all. That was all just a stunt. I mean, you're not missing anything, Jim in Cyprus. He declared. It doesn't mean he's actually going to play, dude, or get drafted. Seth in Bryan, 100% rooting for Georgia to take the heifers behind the woodshed. Yeah, I think we're all Georgia fans tonight. Go Dogs. How do you, go Dogs? No, I don't think I can say it right. Go Dogs. No, well, we'll work on that together during the course of our time together. JT5150 through typing tried to get Go Dogs right, and I don't think you have enough exclamation marks, JT, but yeah, it's Go Dogs. Go Dogs Day on the Louie Bellina Show. Go Dogs Night in Omaha. Man, you know, Bama and TU are playing in real time yesterday during the Louie Bellina Show. And I told you it was ugly. Like, I didn't have a chance. You and I were hanging out together to check, but like, was that Bama pitcher's first start? He was so bad. I told you, he's bouncing pitches. It's like Bama was tired and they wanted to go home. I'll tell you what's funny. Rivalry be rivalry, and Auburn fans were talking smack and trash after Alabama got eliminated. But Auburn underperformed their seed. They got upset at home in their regional, right? When you talk about no room to talk, I get it. Your rival loses, you want to dance on their grave. But considering Auburn baseball lack of performance in the postseason, you got no room to talk, man. You want to celebrate, but don't you for a second have to have some self-awareness or look in the mirror, or it just don't matter? Nana Nana Boo Boo, you got eliminated in Omaha, even though we lost at home in a regional that we were hosting. I mean, dude, some scoreboardness to this. Question. If you make it to Omaha, it's successful, right? Even if you go 2 and toast, you really can't say you failed if you get to Omaha. So this is where I'm going to take Jim's line and go, am I missing something? Because I don't think I am. I don't think I am. I need a timeout. Why? Mitch Light time. He was supposed to be with us yesterday. The phone lines blew up to our entire building. I don't know about building. I'll just say for Brian Broadcasting. So we couldn't visit with Mitch. I couldn't eat. I can always eat. I'm not even going to play with that one. Couldn't sleep was closer to right. No, I slept fine too. I missed him. I just missed Mitch. So in 4 minutes, Mitch Light on the D4 Land Services hotline. That's what's next here on the Louie Bellina Show Monday on The Zone.
The Money Machine Back to School. It's your chance to win $5,000. And it starts July 27th.
Thank you so much.
The Louie Bellina Show. A child of the 80s. The Louie Bellina Show presented by CC Electric Tuesday edition. And we're joined, I know it's not Monday. I just said it was the Tuesday edition, okay? We're joined by Mitch Light. He is with The Athletic. He does many things. He's an editor, and in the college football season, he has to sit there and they force him to watch college football and talk about college football. But all spring long, college baseball, their top 25, the weekend that was, and during the College World Series, they force him to go to Omaha. Mitch, why do you put up with that, man?
It's tough. But, someone's got to do it. But no, it was, as you know, I was in Omaha from Wednesday through Sunday night, and it was a good trip as usual. Something I've done that Louie Bellina hasn't done in the world. Go to Omaha.
I know. Rub it in. That's why we're best of friends. How was the trip, man? We'll get into the games and where we're at now, but how was the trip? Talk about the crowd, the experience, man. I always love hearing this.
It was good, and it was my 6th time, and for the first time, it wasn't an average temperature of like 98 degrees there. It was unseasonably, I don't know if to say cool, but it was just nice. The weather was really good. Only had one weather delay. The Saturday night game was delayed by 45 minutes. Great to see, a new fan base is there. Much was made of the stat how this in the last 3 years, 23 different teams, North Carolina being the only repeat, and 8 new teams this year. Georgia hasn't been since 2008. Obviously, West Virginia and Troy had never been. Strong West Virginia presence there. So yeah, it was good. It was good. It's a great scene always. I enjoy the media day on Wednesday. Basically, every team from 9 a.m. to 5. Every team has like an hour. They practice for 45 minutes, and then there's like a 15-minute media session, and the players just kind of hang out by the dugout. You can walk up to them. You don't need like permission to talk to anyone. It's not like college football where it's like if you talk to a kid without them knowing, you get arrested or anything like that. It's a great situation, and I enjoy watching the players soak it all in. Like everyone enjoys being there. If you're from Texas or Georgia, but especially the kids at Troy and the West Virginia, the first timers, just soaking in the atmosphere, and everyone's just so happy to be there. It's just a great experience for the kids.
You make me chuckle. I know what you mean by new teams, and not last year, but North Carolina, definitely not a new kid on the block. Texas, old guard, but not recent guard. But George hasn't been there forever. OU back in the house. It is refreshing. That's one thing I will agree with that statement. Watching this year's College World Series, refreshing.
Yeah, and with the roster turnovers, even in a place like North Carolina that doesn't, they definitely add transfers, but they get more of a homegrown roster. They were there 2 years ago, but there still wasn't a lot of players that were on that team because in college baseball, very few 4-year players, and if you're good, you leave after your junior year. Jason DeCaro, the pitcher, Gavin Gallagher. So they had some players who are on that roster, but for the most part, it's a whole new team at North Carolina.
Which is the more shocking two and toast, Bama or Ole Miss?
Ole Miss. Even though Alabama was a higher seed and, Alabama had a much better record, Ole Miss being a worse seed in Alabama, I didn't think Alabama, they deserved what they got. They deserved to be, 7 national seed, but I don't think they were as good as their record. I'm not saying they were a fraud or anything, but if you look at their stats, their season stats, their slugging, their pitching, all that, I just think they were fortunate to have the record they were, if that makes sense. They were a good team. They weren't a great team, and they obviously did not play well in Omaha. Just got run off the field twice. So, yeah, I wasn't surprised that they lost those 2 games. They just did not. They didn't pitch well. They didn't do anything well in Omaha.
So I have a question. I saw that Auburn fan was running smack all over Alabama fan because of Alabama going 2 and toast in Omaha. But is there any universe that you get to Omaha and it wasn't a great year? Even if you go 2 and toast,
no.
You get to Omaha, isn't it a great season period?
Yes, of course. I don't care who you are. If you're LSU and you've won 2 of the last 3 championships and you get to Omaha, it's a great season. Auburn fan who has lost, an Auburn team that's lost home super regionals 2 years in a row, should basically keep his mouth shut until his team gets further than Alabama.
Did Auburn make the super? I thought they lost in the regional this year.
No, they lost. They won the regional. They lost to Milwaukee in the first game of their regional, and then they won the regional, and they lost in 2 games to Ole Miss at home.
I'm just so used to A&M and how they do things that I am now transferring it to everyone.
Yeah. And one more thing about Alabama too, and this isn't to throw shade on Alabama. Again, they had a great regular season. Their path to Omaha wasn't that brutal. they won their regional fair and square. Oklahoma State was a solid, not a great number 2 seed, and then to have to beat a number 4 seed in the regional, in the supers, wasn't a very tall task, whereas Ole Miss had the toughest run to Omaha probably of any team there, having to win the Lincoln Regional against a good Nebraska team, beat Arizona State, and then go to Auburn and beat Auburn twice.
So how we got here now, we're taking a look at this. North Carolina, I mean, they're 2-0, so it's easy to go with, but they were the betting favorite until the 11th hour going into the first game. It was Georgia, and North Carolina's played every bit as the favorite.
Yeah, I mean, I would think that North Carolina, for the time as the betting favorite, wasn't necessarily because they were considered the best team. It's because Georgia and Texas had to play each other. So North Carolina probably had the clearest path to the title game, but they're good. I mean, they would have been, obviously they're the favorite in their half of the bracket, and they've played like it. They're in great situation now with their pitching. Troy and West Virginia's strength is not their depth of pitching. We'll see what happens in that game today. But North Carolina, of the 2-0 teams, North Carolina and Oklahoma, obviously North Carolina's in a better situation right now.
And for Oklahoma, who's the other half of the winners bracket, I've just marveled at them this whole postseason. They're the ultimate. They peaked at the right time. How many times have I told you when I saw them that they weren't a top 10 team, they were more of a top 20 team, and we knew they had talent, and they got better during the year. They peaked at the right time, and now and it continued. They peaked in the postseason with all the talent they had, nothing more.
Yep, I saw them midseason as well, and just had the same thought as you. And they are more so than basketball. When we argue about the bubble, who's in, just getting in college baseball is all really that matters, because we saw Ole Miss in 2022. We see this year's Oklahoma team. If you've got talent and you get in and you play well once you're in, that's all you need to do. Basketball, we've seen it. VCU got to the Final Four. They had a stretch of hot shooting in 2011, kind of played above their norm. But for the most part, the bubble teams in college basketball, they might win a game or two. But in football, in baseball, we've seen it. We saw Florida 2 years ago, 13-17, lost its first game in the SEC tournament, got to I think that was the year they lost to LSU in the national final, or maybe they got to the Final Four in Omaha. But specifically to Oklahoma, this team does not resemble the team in the regular season. This is heading into yesterday, so I didn't adjust these numbers, but I looked this up. In the regular season, they hit 281, they had an 860 OPS, and they averaged 1.3 home runs per game. In the NCAA tournament, they were hitting 346 with a OPS over 1,000 and 2.4 home runs per game. So their batting average was about 60 points higher, and they almost doubled their home runs per game. They are, and part of it is the nature of baseball. Your team changes more in college baseball, in my opinion, than any other sport. Your freshman pitchers get better. Cord Rager is pitching like an All-American now, where he was in their opening day rotation, so they thought he was good. He was good. But he is pitching like an All-American. And guys just developed. Dayton LaChance had no home runs at midseason. Hit a home run against Vanderbilt in Game 2 of the series, hit a home run in Game 3. Now he's one of the best power hitters in the country. You do not see stuff like that in college basketball or college football.
Yeah, and in college baseball, you didn't call anyone up from AAA or AA. There were no midseason trades. This is just you developing your players, or your players developing during the course of the year. Nothing more.
Yeah, totally. And a lot of it to get to this point is matchups. Now, Oklahoma, they had a tough. They beat Georgia Tech, who they came from behind. They won 2 games there, and then they went on the road to Kansas. Sometimes it's about matchups in the regionals to get to the spot and then getting hot. Ole Miss, I keep speaking. Oklahoma is on a all-time heater. Like, there's been nothing fluky, nothing easy about this run. They are on the more different. Like, if they get to the finals, they were on the more difficult half of the bracket with Georgia and Texas. And again, their path in the supers and their path in the regionals was very difficult. So nothing fluky about this run by Oklahoma. They're just playing great baseball.
Well, Mitch, I saw analytics that said Oklahoma had the toughest path to Omaha.
Interesting. Yeah, I would have I would have guessed Ole Miss, but that was just a guess. Oklahoma and Ole Miss. Basically any team that wins two, when your path is
road
on the road for both spots, it's going to be very difficult.
Mitch, quick timeout. Come back, dude. I so much more, and I do need to ask you about Sorsby. I need a national and not flavored because we hate Texas Tech opinion.
Sounds good.
Mitch Light of The Athletic hangs out with us on the D4 Land Services hotline. I know it's normally a Monday thing, but yesterday was a bit of a disaster area around here, and Mitch was kind enough to go, yeah, I'm bored tomorrow. I'll hang out. If you ever need your land fixed up, or maybe your land cleared, or maybe your land excavated, you need to check out d4landservices.com. You need forestry, mulching, pond construction, maybe a custom metal building from the ground up, then you need to check out d4landservices.com. We'll be back. It's the Louie Bellina Show, Tuesday on The Zone.
The Louie Bellina Show. He has the barbecue and beer. Just show up at 1420.
Morning.
Sorry, you can't give out his address.
That's funny.
You just show up and listen in. Weekdays 11 to 2 on The Zone.
It is the Louie Bellina Show. It is Tuesday. It is presented by CC Electric, built on faith, family, and community. More Mitch Light time. Heck of an addition to Tuesday. What a treat. We talk College World Series, and we will be talking a little bit more. Mitch, if there's any team I think that's built to come back, because Georgia would need 3 dubs now to get to the College World Series Championship Series, I feel like Georgia is, they've only used 2 pitchers, and really it's all about that offense. They could win any number of games in a row. When they lost last night to OU, it was only their second loss in the last 23 games?
That I'd have to look it up. I mean, they won the SEC tournament. Yeah, they ended the season winning 2 of 3 at Auburn. They won the SEC tournament. They won 3-0. They won 3 straight in the regional, 2 straight in the Super. So possibly, whatever. They're playing good baseball. There's 2 schools of thought on what you said. One is that Texas would have the edge because they've got more pitching. But then Georgia, I subscribe to your theory that Georgia might not be as deep pitching, and they've only used 2. But when you get to the point where you're not facing elite pitching, I'll take the good offense over the marginally better depth pitching, if that makes sense. They're just going to, they didn't hit the ball well last night, but they ran into a really good pitcher, a really hot freshman pitcher. But yes, Georgia's lineup, there's just no let up. There's one, I forgot the dude's name, but I remember I was watching the game last night with my son, and they brought a pinch hitter off the bench who I wasn't really familiar with, and he had 9 home runs and doing 320 or something like that. Maybe it wasn't 9 home runs, but I was like, this guy would be a starter on 90% of the teams out there. So they're just really deep. Oklahoma, I haven't looked at the odds, but I wonder if Georgia and Texas are still the favorite to get to the finals over Oklahoma, because people still don't believe in Oklahoma.
I still believe in Georgia. I guess I'd still take Georgia. I'd be one of those guys too stubborn, until they're eliminated.
Yeah.
But I mean, without a doubt, Oklahoma, here you go. They just have to get lucky once. They just have to play their best game of the once last year. But I do feel like last night was that best game of the year. So I think they've used that card. But look, Georgia actually hit 3 home runs last night. The key is they were all solo shots, and that is the way you beat a Georgia. If you're going to give up the home runs, and you have to, because they're going to eat, they're going to get theirs, you make them solo shots.
That's what coaches will tell you. Solos don't get you beat, and that's usually the case. The walks, then the solo shots, and that's
errors.
What Oklahoma. Yeah, in the errors. And and we've seen some bad defense. We've seen some shoddy defense in this College World Series. Texas in that first inning against Georgia. Schloss said after the game that was the worst worst defensive game of their season. All-American catcher has 2 errors, throwing the ball to first on drop third strikes. I think would pick Georgia. They were my pick beforehand, and I'm not trying to discredit Oklahoma. They're clearly playing great. Those bats just are relentless. One thing, Trey Phelps is not hitting the ball well. He has 3 hits in the postseason. One of them was an infield hit last night. They need to get him going because he, during the regular season, was one of the best hitters in the country. He just kind of got overshadowed on his own team by the best catcher in the country.
Yeah. Mitch, we got to talk a little bit about Brendan Sorsby. We have our resolution. He's recovered from his addiction. He's good to go, and he's decided that he's going to go into the NFL supplemental draft. as opposed to going step by step? Or how did you see this play out? What do you think happened?
Well, I think the Big 12 involvement convinced Texas Tech that this wasn't the way to go. I think there were a lot of, as with every school, but more so at Texas Tech, there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen. And I think a lot of the cooks, despite the school's outward stance of wanting to play Sorsby and wanting what's best for the kid, all that other stuff, I'm sure it was not everyone at that school and all the higher-ups wanted to be as forceful as they had been. They sort of have to go as Cody Campbell goes. And so I don't think, it's not like they needed to convince everyone at the school for an about face. I think once the Big 12 got involved in all this, that they just realized it was not the right path to go forward, and that's why they changed their mind. So, everyone's trying to figure out exactly what happened. Our writers, I'm not involved in it, but our writers are making calls, trying to figure out, the decision makers and all that stuff. But looking back in hindsight, it's not surprising. Like, I don't know if I would have predicted this a week ago or 5 days ago that he wouldn't play, but just the public pressure and the constant, just being in the national story basically all summer, it's kind of easy to predict now that it played out like it is, if that makes sense.
I look at this and ponder, if the Texas Attorney General would have shut up and left it alone, because once Sorsby got the favorable ruling, when the Texas Attorney General warned the Big 12 that him and Texas Tech will take action if you take action, I think it fueled something. Maybe it was going to be inevitable that the Big 12 had to take action, but the Big 12 being threatened by the Texas AG and Texas Tech, if you dared to do something, force the Big 12 to do something. Where maybe after the Sorsby ruling, if Texas Tech and the AG were quiet, it might have passed. It might have slid into oblivion. But instead, they challenged the Big 12 to do something.
I think a lot of what you said is true. And also, like, a lot of this happened when I was in Omaha traveling, and I don't remember, like, the exact days, the things that happened. It wasn't following as closely as I would have been if I were home. I don't think it would have passed. Like, I just think there's too many people in college athletics that were so irate, upset about this, that it would have continued to be a national story. But your part about the Texas Tech threatening the league and all that, I can see what you're going with there. If they would have just shut up and just gone about their business and taken all the national criticism and all that stuff, maybe we would, he'd be playing for Texas Tech. But we'll never know. But they clearly didn't help themselves with that. No,
not at all. And I think there'll be a special class of PR disasters with Texas Tech as the focus, because you mentioned how Cody Campbell called every shot realistically in this story, because Texas Tech could never say, no, we don't want your millions upon millions of dollars. They had no choice. And that's why it was handled so poorly, because Texas Tech probably could have handled every step of this better, but they got to make no decisions. The hostage video they released, the 22-minute one, was horrifically bad.
Right.
Their statements were horrifically bad. But at every step they took, everything they did, threw fuel on the fire. They never did anything to diffuse anything.
100% agree. It's just, it was like they had blinders on. And
no, they had one person's ego who every step of the way wanted to celebrate getting over as opposed to letting it go away.
Yeah, it's just some people, and obviously very successful in business, they can't that doesn't translate over to running athletics, or they don't know that, and they don't have people to tell them that, and they just kept digging the hole bigger from a PR standpoint with every move, like you said, and just like there needed to be an adult in the room to say, let's step back. Why are we doing this? What is this going to look like? How is this helping our situation? And so many things they did, if they would have asked those questions and answered them honestly, they wouldn't have done it.
Whatever slim margin they had a chance to win this, they made sure they had no chance. Like, if it was a 1%, they made sure it was 0. If it was 0.05%, they made sure they had zero, just by the way they publicly handled this.
Right, you are not going to, like, did they think they were going to change people's minds? Like, there wasn't anything we did. We understood, we knew the situation. We knew everything about what happened. And they weren't going to change minds out there. It's like the Bediako situation in Alabama. Like, I think 95% of people thought it was dumb and he shouldn't be playing. But there were some people out there you could make the argument, oh, he's still in his 5-year window. The rules have changed. I get where there was none of that with Sorsby outside of the Texas Tech bubble. No one thought he should be playing, and you couldn't be convinced otherwise, and Texas Tech tried to convince people otherwise.
Do you think Texas Tech should get away with the we did nothing wrong? Because they're still that was their immediate after this happened, and that's what they've tried to say all along. And do you think Texas Tech should be allowed to get away with that?
Well, I mean, what do you mean by allowed to get away? Like, are you sanctions? I mean, I think they've done themselves harm in the court of public opinion. I think people look at the athletic department a lot differently. Even 6 months ago, like, there's some people that didn't like Texas Tech for throwing the money around and trying to change their place in the college sports food chain. That's one thing. But what they've done in the past, 2 or 3 months is another thing. So, like, I think a lot of people look at Texas Tech athletics and the university differently now. But I don't know, are you talking about sanctions? I don't know how you go there.
I think that the ban to play them should continue.
I do not. I see what you're saying, but they did not. In the end, they did not play this guy.
But they would have. If the legal system wouldn't have stopped them, it was their intention.
It's a dangerous precedent to punish someone on intent without actually following through with something.
Well, they didn't choose to stop it. Sorsby did. Texas Tech was fully going to play him.
Well, I'm sure there's a lot to that story that we don't know about yet. But then if you refuse to play them, then opening up more lawsuits. I don't know. I think everyone should just move on from this right now.
No, man, I'm vindictive and a little bit petty. I would not play Texas Tech in any sport. That's it. I wouldn't. I would keep the bans going. A lesson has to be taught in this story, or else the next person will just have a better strategy and win.
Yeah, well, it's difficult to have a better strategy. Like, everything went right for Texas Tech along the path until it didn't. Like, the friendly court rulings, all that stuff. So, I mean, the most dangerous part of this, if he would have played, was the precedent it set.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so hopefully the next time this happens or something similar, but there's nothing as universally agreed upon by sports people that as gambling on your own team. So I don't know what the next thing is going to be.
Oh no, and the weird part is, don't you feel like there will be, though? The way things are going in college athletics right now, there's always the next thing. There's not been any peace.
Well, yeah, we don't know what it is. It's hard to predict. There's always the next scandal, and who would have thought? If you would have said this a year ago, you'd say, no way. That never could happen. You can't gamble on your own team. He'll be banned. No one thinks he should play. Like, there's not going to be any story to that. He'll just won't play. And then we have this, but we couldn't have predicted it. That's what I was going to say this makes it all so fun. It's not fun. I mean, the college football offseason landscape, like, does anyone talk about depth charts anymore? And, I think this team could go 8-4 if they play well. No, it's all litigation. It's all this
NIL expansion, super conference realignment, and things like that.
Yeah.
Hey, Mitch, before I let you go, one last question for you. As you're watching the College World Series, there's no Vandy and there's no Wake. Do you get to watch it as a fan, or is this all like worky for you?
No, I love watching. I just love watching baseball. I love watching college baseball. Like, last night in the ninth inning, it was 4-3. I was riveted as a fan, and being out there. Unfortunately, the games on Saturday weren't good, but like the Troy West Virginia game, I think Troy had the winning run on in the ninth. Yeah, it's just I love watching exciting baseball. So yeah, I will watch. I don't watch every pitch of every game. That's a big commitment. But like today, I'll be working. I'll have the game on at 1. I will watch the game tonight. Yeah, I will. I love watching the College World Series.
That's awesome to hear. Seriously, you know. That's awesome to hear. Sometimes it's so worky, you forget to enjoy the moments along the way. Mitch, be awesome, brother. I'll check in with you Monday, and we'll be talking championship. Holy cow. It could be over by then, couldn't it?
Yeah. Hopefully we'll have a game 3. We haven't had a Monday night game 3 in a while, so I hope we have that.
That's so crazy to me. Be awesome, brother. Thank you always. Later.
All right, take care, Lou.
Peace. Mitch Light of The Athletic on the Deepwater Land Services Hotline, part of the Louie Bellina Show on a Tuesday.
Sign up for the Zone newsletter and be in the know about community events, contests, prizes, the guest lineup that day, and more.
I love it.
Sign up at zone1150.com.
The Louie Bellina Show, first hour done. I did want to wrap up our first hour together. Lifestyles portion of the Louie Bellina Show. And I just find this fascinating. America, we're about to turn 250 years old in a few weeks. And part of the celebration is we are burying a time capsule that won't be open for another 250 years. And boy, you could tell people worked hard on naming it. We're calling it America's Time Capsule. It'll be opened on July 4th, 2276. Now, I got a feeling I won't be here for that. I just don't think I'm going to make it. They, the people, the director of the project, are looking for ideas of what should be in America's time capsule. We already know some of the things they're going to put in there, but they're looking for ideas of what should go in there. You can't put perishable foods. There are some rules. So you can't put anything that'll spoil, and you can't put something that would affect other objects. So no adhesive. You can't put leather, for example. Here's what we know some of, like an iPhone 17, Native American artwork, essays from students, and a Coca-Cola bottle. It will be in the American Time Capsule that will open July 4th, 2276. That's the year. July 4th, 2076. It'll be open. So my question, and I've been thinking about it this morning. That's when I came across this. But what else should we put in America's time capsule? What else do you think would capture the spirit of? Should we put in America's time capsule? And it's funny. I thought like a Captain America T-shirt maybe should go in there. But what? A Led Zeppelin 4 album cover? Yeah, I know that's from 1970s. But what is America now that should go in America's time capsule that should be open 250 years from now? You could text me with your ideas if you feel like it.